Joining us now from Westhope-Newburg is Anthony Lee, part of the coaching staff here for the 2024 North Dakota Lions All-Star Basketball Series on the Division B side this season. And Anthony, for you to just be part of this particular event, I guess, what are you most looking forward to from a coach's perspective, being part of this Lions All-Star Basketball Series here and being part of the Division A squad as well, where you kind of get that hybrid mix of A and B All-Stars across the state?
Oh, it's exciting. Be able to coach a lot of great players, a lot of good athletes, and it's something I'm looking forward to.
Take us through, how much have you and Dustin already spoke? How much do you know Coach Brodina, or is it one of those where you're just going to kind of come together and put something on paper and let's see how it goes against them
Yeah,
this summer?
well, I met him it's a couple weeks ago at a team camp in Devil's Lake. We talked a little bit and exchanged numbers. I think I think our big focus. I think we're going to let the kids play, and we got a lot of good athletes. I know some of them have played together, and I know they've played against each other. And I think the big thing is let them play and showcase their talents.
As a coach, do you go into it? And I always like to ask coaches in an all-star game this question. Is this more, are you going there to see what type of drills other coaches run or kind of how they, execute a certain play? Or is it you're going there, enjoy, 5, 6 days of basketball, seeing some of the best seniors across the state, get another experience, so to speak, within the game? How do you kind of view, from a coach's perspective here, Anthony, what you're trying to get out of this Lions series?
Well, I think a little bit of both. As a coach, you're always trying to learn. I know there'll be great coaches there. I'll be able to pick up some things from them, and maybe they'll pick up a little from me, and just be around these players. I know to get the accolades they have, I guarantee they're all great kids as well as great athletes.
Take us through the title run again one more time in the Magic City. Just kind of how's everything been a few months and now removed from, what March was a little over 3 months ago, and what that was kind of like. Just recap it for us one more time here, Anthony.
I mean, it was great. I have a real special group of kids. The resilience they showed in that tournament, that semifinal game. I think we were down 16, 15, 16 going to the fourth quarter, and how they just didn't quit and kept going after it. Real special group, and I'm very proud of them still.
Take us through some of the player questions we kind of asked the coaches too. But from your side of view, favorite basketball memory? Obviously, state championship has to be right up there from a coaching perspective. But what are some other basketball memories, kind of a 1A, 1B for you here, Anthony?
Well, that's definitely one there, that state championship this year. Going back in my coaching career, we had some very tough years here in Westhope, and we were actually whole season we did not win a game, and as a loser out game in the district tournament, and playing a really good Drake team. I think they're the 2 seed that year, and we had the game won until the end. But just how my kids worked and kept going after it, I was real proud of that group, and that game will always stick out to me.
For you, coaching, is there any superstitions before you finally get to opening tip-off, or is it let's just make sure I got all the roster numbers and the players properly in the book, and let's get to the tip? How do you kind of view it from that point of
Yeah,
view?
really, I'm not really superstitious. I kind of have basically a routine. I've been doing this for quite a while now, and yeah, the superstition stuff, not really for me, I guess.
Take us through, what I always ask players this question: what do you hope to get from the coaches, or what do you hope to take from the coaches moving on to college or moving on to the next level if they're fortunate enough to go play, whether it's basketball or particular sports? So when you have students that kind of come through your particular program here, Anthony, what do you hope they take from your, team, win, lose, or draw, so to speak? But what do you hope they take, after they're done playing with your program?
Just how it takes hard work to be successful, and then a big thing I stress is being a good teammate. You're gonna have to deal with people every day. You're not gonna like everyone, but you're gonna have to be able to work with them, and if you're gonna be successful. So yeah, that's a big one I stress, is being a good teammate.
Going from 2 classes to now 3 divisions, 1 year going with it. Obviously, when a championship has to make it a really good, successful year, whether it was going to be 3 or 2. But after going through it here, Anthony, what kind of came to mind that you enjoyed, or any changes, or was it about as good as it could go with the unknowns going into what the season was going to be, with having just different formats or different tournaments or different teams that you're going to play? How did everything kind of go outside of the wins and losses perspective here for you, Anthony?
I thought everything went pretty well, top to bottom. I thought those playing games for the state tournament, I thought those were really cool. I'm glad we didn't have to play in one of them, but I thought those were neat. One thing we did lose, I mean, some of the teams we used to play, like rugby, we don't get to play anymore. That's kids didn't like that, but I think overall, I think they're on the right path there. I think they might have to tweak a few things, but I think overall it was a successful year for the state.
From the Westhope-Newburg perspective, and everyone's different, right? Depending on where you're at and travel and games. Do you see for your particular club opportunities to play more maybe Class A, like the rugby, so to speak, of the world? Is that something that might be on the schedule? Is it more in season tournaments or a weekend where you go to a jamboree and you bring some teams in? How do you kind of view the scheduling point of view moving forward from your particular town and program here, Anthony?
I mean, going into this next year, my athletic director, he talked to me about who we'd like to play, and he tried to schedule some Class A teams. Some of them didn't want to play us. Some of them we've had on our schedule this past couple of years, and we're going to continue playing them. But I think it gives teams more flexibility. It really, if the A will play the B, I know some probably won't want to, but I think looking overall, I mean, yeah, we have a really good team now. We're a real small school. There'll be years where we won't have the numbers probably won't be there, the talent won't be there. So I think this 3-class system will benefit everyone.
Final thing for me, Anthony, just overall the game of basketball, what's something that you have gained from the game of basketball, whether it's, from the coaching perspective, from playing, just to, anything in between, what's something that you've kind of gained from basketball that you kind of take with you on a day-to-day basis?
Just the relationships, building relationships and friends made throughout the years from when I was playing to now coaching, and just the players I've had great kids here. And then just friendships throughout coaching that I've made. It's real great. Learn a lot.
Anthony, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the 2024 North Dakota Lions All-Star Basketball Series.
Thank you.
Joining us now from the Fargo South Bruins, part of the 2024 North Dakota Lions All-Star Basketball Series. Here is Teigan Malo. And Teigan, for you particularly, when you found out that you're going to be part of the Lions All-Star Basketball Series and represent South, what did that mean to you?
It's great to be recognized and also just to play one last game before I'm done playing basketball again, and also playing with such great, talented girls.
When you saw the roster for the AA squad, particularly, there's some former EDC foes along the way that are now going to be teammates or someone out west. Was there anyone in particular that you're looking forward to having on your team for a change here, Teigan?
Yeah, I'm excited to play with everyone, but playing against Jossie for so long, I think it would be great to actually have her on my team. I'm excited for that.
And a favorite basketball memory that kind of stands out, whether it's as a player, as a fan, or something as a team. What's a favorite basketball memory or two that stands out for you here, Teigan?
My favorite memory is probably my highest scoring game. It was just a great game in general for our team. From having not the best seasons in the past, it kind of gave us like hope for our seasons in the future.
And you're heading up to the University of North Dakota for physical therapy. Just what made UND in that particular field something that you wanted to go to and study and learn a little bit more here, Teigan?
Well, it's not too far away, close to a lot of my family, and my dad went there, so yeah.
Able to keep it in the family that way a little bit from that
Yeah.
perspective. And for you, Teigan, what was something you learned from Coach Trevor Olson or just your coaches in general from any sport that you hope to take with you, so to speak, off the court once you get to college?
He definitely taught me how to be a leader. I'm not the loudest person. He really got me out of my shell and kind of told me that I had to lead our team. So I would say that.
From that point of view, what would be something if you could go back to your 14-year-old self or someone who's been chomping at the bit to play varsity at any particular sport? What would be some words of advice that you'd like to pass down for the next, generation kind of coming up?
I would definitely say have fun and always remember the fun moments and stuff because you're definitely gonna want to go back to it, even though like some might not be the funnest stuff, but you'll definitely want to go back to it.
Superstitious at all? Did you have to do the same thing before a basketball game, put the left shoe on before the right, or listen to a certain song? Anything come to mind when it came to superstitions here, Teigan?
Definitely music, and then before every game, I did have the same. I drank a Red Bull and had a smoothie before every single game.
When did that start up? Was that senior year, or did that start up all the way back when you were a freshman?
Just senior year.
Okay. Did you have the same smoothie then every time?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. What was the smoothie?
It was a green smoothie from Tropical Smoothie.
Awesome. You have a chance to do that one more time too, playing at
Yep.
Fargo South. Is that something you're going to do before you get to that final game representing the Bruins at the Bruin Den here for the Lions series? Then, Tegan, you're going to go back to Tropical and get that same smoothie?
Yes, definitely. We'll be doing that.
For you then, Teigan, kind of as we alluded to with the superstition, just from the schooling point of view, was there a particular class that you enjoyed more, or your favorite class that you had at Fargo South?
One of my favorite classes was definitely health sciences classes. I thought that was really fun and also helpful for what I want to major in.
And then, as you alluded to, it's your last time kind of playing hoops from the Fargo South side before you head to college. So, what are you expecting, or what are you hoping to kind of take away as some memories as you kind of lead into the Lions All-Star Series here, Tegan? What are some expectations or some memories that you hope to take away with you before you head up to Grand Forks?
Yeah, just meeting all the girls and learning new things from them, having a great game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Teigan, well, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations again on being nominated to the Lions All-Star Basketball Series.
Thank you.
Part of our coaches conversation here for the 2024 North Dakota Lions All-Star Basketball Series. Join us from the Devils Lake Firebirds. He is Dustin Brodina, part of the Division A/B boys basketball team here this season on the coaching staff. And Dustin, for you to be part of this particular All-Star game in North Dakota, what are you most looking forward to coming up here in July about the North Dakota Lions All-Star Basketball Series from your perspective?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm honored to be picked, to be chosen. At the start of the year, you thought that if you would told me that we would have won a state championship and I'm going to be coaching in the Lions All-Star team, I would have told you you're crazy. But I'm honored. I'm grateful for it. It's going to be fun. I get to coach one of my guys for the last time. Wiley DeLorme, he's a great player. He's a Mr. Basketball candidate. It's going to be fun. Some of these guys, I've never met before. I've seen them on TV. I've seen their name on paper, but I'm excited about those relationships that we can create. Meeting these guys for the first time, and we get to spend 4 or 5 days together, and not only learning basketball, but learning about each other, where they're going to go in life, what they're going to do in life, and learning some of those life things. That's going to be fun.
You mentioned Wiley. How much sweeter is it to be part of this event, but also have one of your fellow seniors and someone like Wiley that you get to share the court with one more time as you kind of close the chapter, so to speak, on that 2023-2024 season?
Right. Yeah. Wiley's been with me since he's been a third grader. Pretty much coached almost every basketball game he's played in, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun spending that time with him, and hopefully send him on the right way and get him off to University of Mary. That's where he's going to be playing next fall. So it's going to be fun.
When you get to opportunities like this, I know there's coaching clinics. Sometimes there might be coaching camps throughout the summer, or just camps in general where you get guys together. This is a little more unique. You're bringing a handful of coaches across the state at all 3 divisions now that you have. So are you going to talk some shop, so to speak, and ask what drills work well for you guys in practice, or what play, or do you kind of keep some of that stuff close to the vest and not try to give away the secret sauce, so to speak here, Dustin?
Yeah. So no, me and Coach Lee from Westhope, we've already been talking, and actually we put a little draft practice plan together, and I've shown, I kind of put some of our drills that we're going to do. And honestly, it's kind of almost similar to what we're doing, the same things. But yeah, when we're down in Fargo South, I'm going to be watching what those Class AA coaches are doing. And yeah, we always say coaches are the biggest thieves out there because we're always watching film and that play was really cool, that worked, or what their scheme they're doing. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun all around.
What does just basketball for you, Dustin? Obviously, I know your story with your family this year, on the court obviously was well documented and rightfully so with the success that you guys have both from the girls basketball program and the boys basketball program in Devil's Lake. But what has basketball just kind of meant to you and your family, specifically for you growing up and where you are now having kids kind of, playing the sport that you're coaching as well?
Yeah, it's been a big part of my life. Growing up, we small town, Fordville, Lincoln. That was life. We worked all day, and then we'd go play open gym. And and then growing up and having to spend that time with my kids and having them grow up in the gym and spend time. And it's not only basketball, other sports as well, but basketball has been a special sport. And competitiveness has always been a thing too. So, whether it's in the driveway here out in front, the kids are playing, they're beating each other up. But you learn a lot of things in basketball, in the game of basketball. There's challenges, and not only everything goes your way, and you can learn a lot of friendships as well. And when you win, yeah, you're almost put on a pedestal like crazy. This March was a little surreal, but we're thankful and grateful for the opportunities that it's provided. Hopefully that'll take the kids to learn from it, and they'll be able to take some of that stuff into their, future endeavors, whatever it is.
When it comes to favorite basketball memories, is it tough to beat the month of February and March for the Brodina household this year? Or is there something earlier, Dustin? Maybe it was just, playing hoops in the front yard, so to speak, or the first travel ball that, some of your kids were part of. What's a basketball memory or two that kind of, comes to mind for you here?
Well, I mean, February and March was fantastic. I'll never forget that. But I will never forget the first game I ever coached. When Bo was a third grader, and Parker was a second grader. We went to play in a 3-on-3 tournament in Grafton. First time ever. We won the game 2-1. I'll never forget it. I didn't think we were going to score a basket. I don't remember who we were playing, but the kids could barely get it up to the basketball hoop. But I'll never forget that. We have a picture of the three boys together, and that was pretty special, that first game. And being able to do that, and then just growing up with the kids, traveling tournaments and all that time spent together is pretty special.
Superstitious at all, Dustin? Anybody on your staff, coaching staff, or you in particular, are you superstitious when it comes to the game, or is it let's just make sure I got all the guys in the book properly? Let's make sure everyone's got their jersey, got what they need to do, and let's just get to the game whenever that C squad JV and varsity game tips off on a Tuesday, Friday night.
Yeah, I think we're pretty. Everybody's a little superstitious. We got certain routines that I have for games. Actually I say a little prayer every game, before every game. That kind of holds special. It's not a prayer for winning. It's just a prayer for thankfulness. And just to be thankful for the opportunities, because there's not everybody has that opportunity. And I'm sure the guys have their favorite underwear and whatever. And that actually, I had, you probably noticed in the state tournament, my red shirt has been lucky. So, I wore it the semifinal night, and I had to wear it for the championship night. I had to wear it back-to-back nights. I wore a shirt 2 nights in a row. I don't know if that made a difference or not, but superstitious-wise, maybe it did.
Yeah, if it works once, you got to keep doing it.
Right.
And you hear everything when it comes to, I went to a state tournament, and I heard some folks said that we had Chipotle or Subway. So we always had to go back to Chipotle and Subway 3 straight days,
Well, another story was the girls. So we were playing in Thompson, and I was a fan, of course, and it was white out. So I had to wear this Bass Pro Shops hat. It was a white hat. And we won. So then come to state tournament. Well, the first day is blackout. So I wore a black one. And so I was wearing a Bass Pro hat for all 3 state tournament games for the girls. It's kind of funny.
Not too bad. You got a couple colors then. It sounds like in the wardrobe there, Dustin.
I would, because we didn't have a red one, so we had to go buy a red one.
When it comes to on the lighter side, to more so, as you alluded to, Dustin, guys who come in your program or what you're going to be doing here for a couple of days, seeing where they're moving on to college or what the next step in their chapter is, whether it's sports or just life in general. Is that a theme that you kind of try to instill in your program with Devils Lake when someone comes to play for you for 4 years, maybe it's 1 year because they want to come out and give basketball a try and see if it's, you know, kind of what they want. But what do you hope that, you know, the student athletes that come through your program, Dustin, kind of gain from it outside of what they can put on the court and dribble and shoot, so to speak, when it comes to the game of basketball?
You know, just the appreciation of hard work and effort, you know, the commitment that it takes. It's not easy, you know. State championships are won in March, but they're won in June and July as well, in August. You know, nobody's looking watching you go at 6 o'clock in the morning, shoot baskets and lift weights. So hopefully that the kids that come through our program understand that it takes hard work, it takes effort, it takes commitment, you know, and accountability. Things that, you know, when you go to a job someday, you got to be accountable. You know, I'm not going to have any NBA players come off of my maybe, you know, but as they go to the real life, go to the real world, have a job, that they appreciate that, you know what, it's just, you don't show up and things happen, you know, and you got responsibilities and you got to cover that, you know, and hopefully that they learn from that and they could take that from aspect of sports, and take that into the real world.
No question about it. We'll talk more maybe in a year or two about an NBA player coming from Devils Lake potentially. We'll see how that happens down the road. But yeah, vast majority, as you said, the odds are not in going to have a chance to play, you know, at that highest level of basketball. Dustin, as always, thanks so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you here for the Lions All-Star Basketball Series in July.
Thanks, Chase.
Joining us now, part of the coaching staff for Division AA and the 2024 Lions All-Star Basketball Series. He is Travis Hoeg here from Fargo North. And Travis, a year removed and a year back in this All-Star game, so that's always a good thing, number one. But number two, what does it mean for you and Fargo North again to get represented from the sidelines a second consecutive year here, going from the 2-class system to now welcoming in the 3-division basketball system in this Lions All-Star Series?
Yeah, you know, I'd just say we're, you know, felt very fortunate to give ourselves and put ourselves into a position last year to win another state championship. But Tim Brandt just had his guys playing too well, and Tommy Oneman was too big of a threat around that rim for us to kind of jump over that hoop again. But super excited to be back coaching the Lions All-Star game this summer and get to work with my good buddy Tim Brandt. So just really looking forward to coaching with him and then also just getting all these great kids that we get to spend the weekend with.
After last year going through it, were you talking a lot of shop, so to speak, asking other coaches, what do you do in certain drills or inbound plays? Or was it, you know, just kind of coming together, getting to meet new people, putting the feet up, enjoying, you know, 4 or 5 days of basketball and some games? How do you utilize it to try to take with you, so to speak, once you get to the winter here of 2024, Travis?
Yeah, I'm a real big guy with I'm huge on making relationships with kids. So last year I kind of went into it with, you know, I'm just going to get to know these guys. I'm with them for 5 days. I'm going to get to know them as well as possible, and hopefully they can get to know me. And then obviously, you know, I talked with Kirby, and we kind of talked a little bit about offensive schematics and defensive schematics, and we kind of ran our own drills during some of our practices. And so I got to see some of the stuff that he does, and he got to see some of the stuff that I did. So it was just a really fun 5 days last year. And I'm kind of looking forward to kind of the same thing this year. You know, Tim will be kind of the head coach and I'll be his assistant this year. So that'll be kind of nice for me, because I'll kind of get to see what he does, and I'll kind of just let him kind of take charge and then just fill in where I need to. And you know, if he asks for advice or anything like that, definitely I'll be giving it to him. But I'm kind of going into it as the assistant coach this year. So I'll sit back and let Tim do all the work. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's kind of the way we'll go with that. You know, a little bit of both, a little bit of basketball talk shopping, but big on trying to just have the guys have fun and get to know them a little bit over those 5 days.
And to have a couple of fellow Spartans with you, a couple of guys you coach with, David and Carter, what does that mean to go out with fellow Spartans, if you will, one more time before they kind of put the, you know, swan song or put the bow on their, you know, Spartan career here?
Yeah, I'm excited for both of those guys to just go out and showcase their talent, you know, against some really good talent in double A or was it no A and B, against the really good talent there. I mean, they're going to have a lot of really good players too. I was kind of looking at their roster, and man, they've got some some great dynamic ball handlers, some guys that can shoot it, some guys that get the rack. I mean, some nice bigs. They're going to be this is going to be a very competitive 2 games this year in the Lions All-Star Series. And so just for them to kind of showcase their abilities, against the top players in the state is going to be really fun for them. And, as their head coach, just to kind of be very prideful of them. I'm just proud of them. It's going to be very nice to just take the court with those 2 again and get to offer some input and advice as they play their game, those 2 games.
As you kind of go through the Lions All-Star Series, coaching it last year, having the chance to do it this year, what was the one thing maybe people asked you most about the Lions series, Travis, last year, whether it was from fans or just some family members saying, what do you kind of all experience? How do you go about practices? How do you go about the games? You obviously want to win. You want to be a competitor, especially last year being the last A versus B, so to speak. So what was some of the questions that you kind of heard the most from just the basketball community last year going through the Lions All-Star Series?
Yeah, I think some of the questions I got often were, how many of these guys do you know that are on your squad? What do you plan to do offensively? How do you plan to stop so-and-so? Things like that. Guys that really know the game well and follow high school basketball closely, they had a lot of really specific questions, and so it's kind of fun to just talk shop with those guys. And then also I've tried to get some advice from some of those people too, because I'm not a guy that thinks I know everything. I'm constantly learning every day as well. Constantly trying to learn from other guys about different players and different schematics and things like that. So that was a lot of the stuff that we talked about going into last year.
From the Fargo North coaching perspective, whether it's yourself or some of your assistant coaches, any superstitions come to mind before games? Does the coaching staff have to do anything in particular, or is it let's just, get to that first C squad game, see how the ball rolls out for the next, 4 or 5 hours of basketball here, Travis?
I'm not a very superstitious guy, but I do kind of have a little routine right before the games. I kind of look up and down my bench, and I just kind of, and it's weird because I'm not a very orderly person either, but I always kind of make sure that the chairs are all aligned perfectly. They're far enough off of the game floor. There's enough room for everybody. And then if there's any garbage left over from the previous game or whatnot, because a lot of times we have double headers, I'll pick up a lot of garbage and throw it away and stuff like that. But just kind of prepare. That's kind of my daily pregame ritual. I'm not very superstitious. I don't have any weird things that I do in the locker room or anything like that. But that's kind of my pregame ritual. Just kind of make sure the bench is ready for my guys, and then just kind of get my mindset ready. So.
From their favorite basketball memory of all time, I know winning a state championship has to be, right up there. Winning a conference title has to be right up there. I know before we chatted, you had your son that had an opportunity to play in this particular series. So there's a lot of really good basketball things, but what are 1 or 2 that kind of jump right off the page, if you will, Travis, for some of your favorite basketball memories?
Oh, favorite basketball memories. Boy, there's so many. I think a couple would be Jeremiah getting his 1,000th point, Carter getting his 1,000th point. We have a record board here on the North High Spartan Dome, and I'm able to put Carter's name up there for a couple, and Jeremiah, I think, took over like 7 or 8 records. Some of them are single game records. Others were career records. Those are, talk about longevity and guys that really put a lot of work into their game, and it really showed through for us. So just that, I think. And then just for me, I think it's, and I already said this, it probably gets old people hearing me say this, but just the relationship piece, right? Like, I know they're my players, but they're my guys, and I tell them when they leave me, like, you have my cell phone number. I don't care if you're 35, you're 40, something happens, you need somebody to talk to. You whatever it is, you've got me, and I'm going to be there for you, just to kind of let them know that I'm always going to be in their life. And I always tell them too, like, hey, you might get a call from coach in 10 years because I want to reach out and see how you're doing and all those things, So just that piece, the relationship piece is real big for me. And, after they get done playing for me, we're lifelong friends, and that's really important to me. And I just want to stay in touch, and it's good to see them. Like I've got guys that I've coached, in middle school back in the day, and they're in their 30s and 40s now, and they've got kids, and I'll see them around town. And just having those great conversations and catching up is so important to me. So I would say that those things. I tell you what, a couple other, I can't forget about Jeremiah's dunk last year in the state tournament, the state title game, the one that got on Sports Center and blew up on overtime. That was a big memory. Carter Zeller dropping 42 points in Valley City his freshman year when Coach Critchley happened to put him in, and Valley was playing a zone against us, and Carter just kept sealing the outside guy and getting lob passes and buckets. I mean, those are a couple other things that kind of stick out to me. So there's a lot of them.
Yeah, you can make a basketball book pretty quickly here when you talk about hoops here, Travis. And from that particular perspective, I know I'm going to ask Tim this same question too, is, how have you seen the game grown just in the backyard here of the Red River Valley across the state of North Dakota, last 5, 10 years, 15 years? What is something different that was being played in, the mid 2000s that we didn't see that's being played on a consistent basis when fans come to an EDC game, a WDA game, at least in the AA? What's something that you've seen from your perspective that has just continued to impact or, make the game better, quicker, however you want to say, than what it was maybe 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I was just talking to my brothers about this, and I've had other people say it to me too, and I thoroughly agree with them. They say, Travis, I mean, if we are trying to play basketball nowadays in high school, we wouldn't even make the team. If they compare the skill level we had at high school back in the, early 90s, late 80s, the skill level, to me, the biggest change in the game is the skill level that these kids have. I mean, every single kid that's taken the floor is a high proficient ball handler. They can usually score at the rim, mid-range, and three-pointer. They can post up. I mean, the athleticism that most of them have is off the charts. They seem to be way more springy off the floor. I mean, it seems like back in my day, one dude could dunk, and that is usually your post player. And now, last year, the squad that I had, I mean, it was ridiculous. I had 8, 9 guys that were dunking, and it was just how springy they are and athletic. And then I really also think, as far as game, it's really changed from more of a inside outside game to more of a lot of teams are playing 5 out, 4 out, 1 in, but also having their post player leave the basket to try to get the bigs away from the rim. I really think that's been the biggest change in basketball in the last 5, 10 years that I've seen, is just kind of what coaches are doing on the offensive side of the game with their players, and really getting shooters out there and guys that can get downhill and get to the rim. And you don't see a whole lot of all right, let's pass around, dump it in the post player, do a post move, and put the ball on the rim. Unless you're Tim Brandt, you got Tommy Onneman on your squad. He's pretty good at that. And I was pretty spoiled too with Carter Zeller. But I think those are probably some of the biggest changes that I've seen in basketball for sure.
And from this standpoint, last thing for me, Tim, you partake in it. You've been to this game a number of different ways as a spectator as well. Really great crowds in the capital city last year, standing room only crowd at Fargo South last year as well. If someone is new to this area or maybe hasn't been to a Lions All-Star basketball game in 5, 10 years because maybe they haven't had a relative or someone to really watch, why should someone come out to a Lions All-Star game in July, watch it on your live event if they can't make it in general after you were able to participate in it last year? What is a reason, as just a basketball junkie, a basketball fan out there, why should they come out to a gym in July when it's maybe 90 degrees outside and watch some hoops?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this is nothing like the NBA All-Star game. These guys get out there and they play defense. They want to win, they want to have bragging rights when they go see their friends and family across the state or whatnot. I mean, you are going to see, I know a lot of people think that it's an all-star game and it's just whatever. They kind of go through the motions. No, these dudes want to win. That crew that I had last year, they wanted to win both games. And they were upset when we lost that game. And was it Fargo we lost in?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We lost in Fargo last year and we won in Bismarck. But I mean, it's a highly competitive game, and you're going to see some super dynamic athletes and some rim rockers and just high level basketball. I mean, if you're a basketball fan, you want to take two hours out of your night to go watch these guys play, because it's a spectacular game with a lot of high flyers and just really, really good basketball and good defense, man. I mean, these guys get up and they defend well, and they get in your face and they try to be disruptive. And so you're going to see all aspects of really great basketball. And if you're a basketball fan, you love that type of ball. So
I would agree. And I think last year we had a couple of dunks that were pretty good as well in the capital city and in Fargo. And the last couple of years have been pretty fortunate to see those as well. Travis, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and we'll see you here for the Lions All-Star Basketball Series, mid part of July.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Chase. Take care.
Well, join us now, one of the coaches here for Division Double A in the 2024 North Dakota Lions All-Star Basketball Series. He is Tim Brandt here from West Fargo, Sheyenne. Tim, I always ask the players this: what does it mean to get nominated to a game like this your senior year? Well, from a coaching perspective, what does it mean to be on the sidelines for you here in the Lions All-Star Basketball Series and representing West Fargo, Sheyenne?
Well, it means a lot. I mean, obviously, if you're in this position as a coach in the Lions game, you were, for the Double A side, you were in the state title game. So that's pretty big. So it means a lot. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
When you kind of have heard about the Lions All-Star Basketball Series, going to it, maybe seen former players that were part of West Fargo Cheyenne playing in it, what's the one thing that excites you the most from the coach's perspective of what you've been maybe able to see from a distance now that you're going to be able to, see one-on-one, if you will, coming up here in July?
Yeah, well, I have some experience with people that I'm very close to being in it. My brother played in it when he was a senior. Obviously, my wife has coached in it before. So I've been on that side of it to have that sort of inside perspective with some things, but I'm really excited to coach these kids from around the state. Obviously they're nominated to an all-star team, so they're all really good players. Just to get some, learn who these kids are. Obviously I know who they are, but getting to know them, from a personal standpoint, being able to coach them, and asking opinions and things like that, how things run in their program, to see kind of how other coaches do things as well. Coaching with Travis Hoeg, I'm excited about that because Travis and I are friends, and Travis is a good coach. So I'm excited to team up with him a little bit rather than being on opposing sides. So that'll be fun.
And is there a particular player that you all of a sudden saw that you're like, I don't have to scout against you, I don't need to worry about taking away, the power dribble? Obviously, Alpha for Fargo Davies is someone who a lot of people will talk about just because his ability to protect the rim and jump and get rebounds. But there's a lot of really good players across the state here, Tim. But is there someone in particular that you're excited to have on your squad for a change instead of coaching against them?
Yeah, you mentioned Alpha. Alpha's definitely one because he's always a guy that's like, you always need to know where he is on the floor, just because he'll just come flying in and it seems like he's just kind of parachute into the gym and dunk one on you. So not having to game plan against that, we're big on the east side, with Eric Pay, and Zeller from North. And so we got a lot of size, and not having to game plan against those kids. They're really, really good basketball players. And but yeah, it's everybody that's playing on the east side, that's that we've had to game plan for. I'm happy that they're on our sideline now rather than having to plan for.
From your perspective, you kind of maybe alluded to it a little bit earlier, is this something where you're going to be talking shop with Travis or some of the other coaches that are across the state in terms of what drills do you guys do, or what do you see in your kind of neck of the woods that you kind of run during practice? Or is this one where you kind of put the feet back a little bit, you enjoy it, it's an all-star game? How do you kind of balance that from your point of view to take with you once you get to next season, at West Fargo Cheyenne?
Well, I've asked some people that as well. Like I didn't know how to go about it. If I want to, like, obviously you want to win and you want to compete, but at the same time, this is 5 days that I want these kids to have fun. This is really what it's about. I want you to come in and have fun, but at the same time, I want to win 2 basketball games too. So it's going to be a balance. I'll talk with coaches, and obviously I want Travis to have some input as well, and not have it just be me. And so it'll be a balance. Like, this is going to be a fun 5 days, but at the same time, some of these kids need to realize that maybe it's the last, like, actual maybe basketball game that they might play. I don't know how many of these kids are going to play college basketball after the fact, but some of them might not be. So, hey, get as much out of it as you can these 5 days, have fun, but work and compete. And let's try to win 2 games.
From here, Tim, what are you looking forward to most? I guess just the event itself. You've kind of alluded to, you've been part of it in different capacities, but what are you looking forward to most for these 5 days?
Just getting to know these different kids, from all across the state. Some kids that obviously the kids in the area, I know who they are. I've been around them a little bit. But just as far as getting to know who they are, being around the different personalities, I think that's the biggest thing. And just, really, really getting to know these kids from a personal standpoint.
From when you were hooping to where we are now, how has the game developed, or how has the game grown at the high school level from your point of view?
We see it's athletic, man. We see a lot. I was, talking with, I think I was talking with Coach Hendrick. I think it was Coach Hendrickson during the season. And, we were talking about, how many dunks you might see in a season 20 years ago at the high school level in North Dakota, as opposed to now. Like you see 3, 4, 5 a game. Now you might have seen that. That might have been the entire season, 20 some years ago. So it's athletic. Kids are athletic. They're strong. They're skilled. I mean, it's more now that, a lot of kids focus on this one sport, than anything else. So kids are skilled, kids are strong and athletic. And I think that's the biggest way that it's changed over the last, 20 some odd years.
From the 3 divisions of basketball, and I know we kind of chat about this during the season, saying it probably wasn't going to have a lot of impact from the AA because you're still playing the same schools, maybe a couple non-conference games, but overall going through the 3-class or 3 division system here in North Dakota the first time. Tim, how did you think everything went outside the wins and losses or traveling? How did you think everything went from your perspective and your program?
I think everything went really well. You mentioned the travel. Selfishly, we didn't really have to leave town too much, so that was awesome. It'll flip a little bit next year. We'll be out west quite a bit in the first month of the season, but no, I thought it was well. I thought the competitive balance was really good. I thought all 3 divisions were really competitive for the most part. You're always going to have some lopsided games here and there, and you're never going to be able to avoid that, no matter how many times you split the divisions up or the configuration or whatever it is. But I think it was competitive. I think it was really good. I mean, you look at the East region this year, and every single team could win on any night, and I think it's the most balanced it's been. As far as I can remember, since I've been out here, well, this will be my 12th year at Sheyenne. It's as balanced as I can ever remember it. And that's great. That gets you ready, when there's not, 3 or 4 teams just beating up on everybody and having a couple good games, throughout the whole season. It gets you ready for the postseason, and you have to bring it every single night. So I think it was for the first year, I think it was really good.
Yeah, a lot of people at West were asking me, Chase, who's the best team in the EDC? And I said, put 7 teams in a blender and, hit A, hit B, hit C, because you weren't sure who you're going to put as the number 1, number 2, number 3 team in the state of North Dakota. And I think from the EDC tournament to the state tournament, you got to see that, Tim. And then how much did that West versus East help you guys a little bit compared to normal? You might not have seen a West team until you get to the state quarterfinals. How much did that kind of help to know maybe what you're getting into a little bit?
Honestly, I think that was my favorite part about the whole thing, because we were able to see Bismarck High, Minot High, Mandan, Jamestown, and Legacy, and then we ended up playing Bismarck High in the first round of the state tournament. So that was extremely beneficial because, Bismarck High is what you're getting with them. They press, they play up tempo, and being able to see that early and then having an idea what you're going into was very helpful. And I've always been of the the opinion that I want to play somebody early that I could possibly play in the tournament. So nothing against going across to the Minnesota side and playing Moorhead or anything like that, but I just really prefer playing Western teams in our state just to kind of get a look to see how you stack up against those teams. So I think it was really beneficial for us.
Okay, a couple questions that we asked the players that will ask the coaches here. Superstitious at all? Are you and the coaching staff at all superstitious when it comes to game days or before you get to an opening tip?
No, I'm not. I don't buy into anything like that. I guess I think whatever is going to happen is going to happen. It's more based on your preparation. I like to fall back on if you're prepared, you're going to be ready to go. I don't like just crossing my fingers and hoping based on some type of superstition. So no, not really superstitious. I don't have to wear the same pair of socks if we win or anything like that. So no, I don't really, and I don't know if anybody on my coaching staff is. I think we're all pretty, I don't know. I don't think many of us subscribe to anything like that.
Favorite basketball memory, obviously winning the state title has to be right up there, but I know for yourself, for your family, there's been a lot of really good basketball memories, whether it's on the court, in the stands, or something in between, Tim. So when I say favorite basketball memory for you particularly, what's 1 or 2 that just kind of jump off the page?
Yeah, I have a couple. I mean, obviously last year winning the state championship would probably be number 1 on my list. But as a college basketball player, going to the NAI national tournament in Brandt, Missouri was awesome. You know, my brother winning a state championship in '99, that was really cool. My wife winning a couple state titles was awesome. The first time that Sheyenne made the state tournament, this would have been what, 2016 maybe. So we were playing West Fargo in the EDC semifinal game. So basically you win that, you go to the title, you qualify. And so Josh Teely hits a 3-pointer at the buzzer. You might remember that. Not at the buzzer. There was like 3 seconds left, but he hit a 3 to go up 1 with about 3 seconds left, and West Fargo came down and couldn't score. But so that is, as far as a coaching thing, state championship would probably be number one. Right below that was qualifying for that first state tournament as a coach on the Sheyenne staff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think that was on the north end of the shack too, kind of going into it. And that was
on the left wing,
yep.
kind of across from the bench. Yep. It's
Yeah,
burned in my mind. I'll never forget it.
I got a video of it. I think I was talking with Kirch afterwards, seeing how he saw it, and Lou Grant, I think, was part of it and stuff, and talking with some of those guys too, just saying what was it like from that particular angle. And that's like the full circle moment, right? You win a championship, but at some point you got to qualify for state. Yep. And that was the first time to see that whole movement. So what was that like? Final thing for you, Tim. What was that like, being part of the program, being there, as you alluded to, the first time you're able to make it to state, which that's the first goal. You got to get to state before you win it. But you guys have had really good teams. You had really good players. You've been knocking on the door. Then to finally see it come to a complete, culmination together in Bismarck this past March. What was that journey like, just from, those particular years in general?
It's awesome. I mean, like you said, we've had really, really good teams in the past. So, and I think if you're going to win a state championship, certain things have to fall into place as well. I mean, obviously we played really well for 3 days and never take anything away from that. But you don't, if a game in the East Region tournament goes the other way, where we might have a different matchup, or let's say things have to fall into place for you to win a state championship. And if something had gone a different way a couple of years ago, maybe we win it, maybe we don't. It's one of those things. But being a part of it and kind of being, at every step in the tournament, taking 5th, taking 3rd, being in the title game and losing in 2018 to Century, and then now finally, finishing the job and being able to get it done. It's pretty awesome. And, we were talking we got summer camps rolling and all that stuff. And Sullivan Irie is one of our returning seniors, and he helps work camp. And I was talking with somebody, and Sully was there, and it's like, this will be my 12th year coaching here. And one of our very first camps, I remember Sully was a little first grader there. So now it's getting to the point where I've seen all these kids since they were kindergarten and first graders, and now they're parts of my graduating classes and all that stuff. And that's the coolest part, really, when you break it all down. It's being around these kids for literally 12, 13 years, and then they're a part of your program and playing a big part in winning basketball games, or just being a part of your program. And then it's obviously hard when you build a relationship with them and then they graduate and then they're gone. But that's the cool part, is being around these kids for that many years, and just seeing them grow up into young men, and seeing the type of people that they become.
Hey, Tim, as always, appreciate the time, appreciate the conversation. We'll see you coming up here for the Lions All-Star Basketball Series.
Thanks, Chase. Appreciate it.